Welcome to the Freight Agent Insider Podcast, hosted by Levi Van Pay.
Yeah, welcome in, everybody. How are we doing today? Yeah, this is going to be a good one. It's going to be a good one. I'm in a good mood because it's finally warming up in Wisconsin a little bit. When I say warming up, I'm talking about 38 degrees, which means I'm going to be outside in a t-shirt today. This is good stuff. I hope everybody's week is starting off on the right foot. The freight is moving. Everybody's in a good mood. You didn't spill your coffee on the drive in today. Let's do this. Before we dive in, though, if there's anybody out there who's interested in learning to become an agent, maybe you've been watching the show for a little while now and it's caught your attention, you don't know where to start, you can go to freightagentinsider.com. We've got a boot camp class on there. You can grab that. It's built with the latest tips, tricks of all of our agent guests. So it's good stuff. You can get 25% off with code INSIDER. Grab that if you're interested. On freightagentinsider.com, if you want to ask our guests some questions, it's a lot of fun. You can go to the page, talk to us live. You can pre-record questions, ask them, and we'll play them live here on the show and get them answered for you. All right, guys, let's kick it off. This is going to be a good episode today. And look, they typically are good episodes, but this one is going to be a little spicy, We got the man today. We got the man on. I'd like to introduce everybody. Chris Jolly, the freight coach. Chris, how are you today?
Levi, I'm doing well. I appreciate the opportunity to come on here.
Oh, it's going to be a blast, man. Thank you for joining. What's happening in your neck of the woods today? I know you said earlier that I didn't know you were from Wisconsin. You were born and raised here, so we've got a little bit of a connection there. Are you still in Wisconsin, or did you say F this? I'm gone. I've had enough of the negative 30.
I bounced out 15 years ago. It was a high in negative 10 for like 2 straight weeks. And I'm like, I got to go somewhere warm. I moved out to Nevada for about 9 years, and I wanted to be at a place where I could wear shorts 12 months out of the year. And there's no better place than that than Arizona. And I've lived here now for like 6.5 years.
Let me ask you this. Why is it that all of the agents that I know are in the South? Is it just because they don't want to move freight in the negative 30-degree weather? I don't know any agents up here.
No, man, I think that once you get a taste of the lifestyle outside of the upper Midwest, you're like, I'm never going back anywhere near there. Not at least, like May through September, more than happy to come back to Minnesota and Wisconsin. But outside of that, I'm good, man. Like I don't want to see snow anymore.
CJ, do you have family still up here? Like, do you come back and...
Yeah, my entire family still lives in the Twin Cities.
Okay.
Literally everybody, my sister, and I have everybody lives within 50 miles of Minneapolis still to this day. And me and my brother are the only ones who moved away. My brother lives in Las Vegas, but yeah, man, I'm back. I'm back a few times out of the year. And like my business partner, he lives in Minneapolis, so I go back a few times from that. And it's going to be one of those areas that we're going to be building up our one of our offices at. Is going to be right in Minnesota. So
when you come back there, you'll have to let me know. We'll maybe go to the Mall of America, get on the log ride. A real bonding experience.
Let's do it. Let's strap a GoPro to it and make some content out.
That's right. Chris, tell me and everybody who maybe they haven't seen your content before. I of course have, and most of us of course have. Tell us exactly who you are, what you do, and what you're doing now.
Yeah, no. So I've been in transportation indirectly my entire life. I personally worked in the industry for 20 years now. I've been a broker for 15 of those, and yeah, man, I've been for the beginning part of my career. We just did full truckload food and bev like a lot of people do out there. I worked for like the second largest freight broker in North America, which is a really good experience. You don't realize what you have in those environments until you walk away and you're like, dang, there was a lot of tools at our disposal there that aren't exactly in startup land. Back in 2020, I was kind of over brokering at that time. I had thought of like my master plan. I had just moved to Arizona and I was like, I want to go learn the asset side. I want to go learn that, and my plan is I'll do that for like 5 to 7 years, and then I'll just make a C-suite play somewhere because I'll have almost 20 years of brokerage and asset experience, and I thought I'd be a shoo-in for it, and I had a bunch of interviews lined up, and then COVID became COVID, and, I was out of a job. I had chose to resign though. I always like to put that out there because that Monday I had chose to resign because I had interviews lined up. I'm like, all right, I'm going to be flying around. I'm like, we'll be all right. COVID became COVID on Thursday. And by Friday, like literally, it was like almost in unison, Levi, of emails from these HR departments and recruiters like, hey, we're postponing your interview due to everything. We'll talk in a couple of months. And I'm like, shit. Okay. But at being a man of faith, and for those of you who watch my content and hear me talk, you might be surprised when I say that, but I've been praying to God for a very long time at that point. I want to be my own boss. I want to do my own thing. Um, they always say God works in mysterious ways, and there's nothing more mysterious than, hey, you're out of a job, you're in a new city, and nobody's hiring because there's a global pandemic going on. So create something. And that's what I did. That's how the freight coach kind of came about. It's the I called myself the freight coach as like a stroke of dumb luck because I'm like, I want to teach people about freight. I started a sales consulting and ops consulting business. And I'm like, I'm going to be teaching people about freight. I can't be the freight teacher. And I was like, I'm just going to call myself a freight coach. And it stuck. And that is just the brand was built off of that. And I started the podcast as a way to get, access to some of my prospects, right? Because again, nobody was meeting in person and I needed to get out there and introduce myself to as many people as possible. And
Yeah.
I started doing that. And, I also started doing that because and I still share this opinion to this day. There's so much garbage content out there by people who don't actually do the work that they're trying to say that they do. And it's very evident to anybody who actually does work in an industry who's BSing and who's not. So I'm like, I'm just going to talk to freight professionals on this show. I don't want to talk to somebody who did this job 15 years ago and who's trying to be a subject matter expert. I want people who've actually driven trucks, actually brokered freight, actually built real companies. And I want them to come on and talk about what they see from their seat because this
That's right.
industry is massive. And that just kind of springboarded in. And, back in late 2022, I was like, I was very fortunate to have found success as an entrepreneur, but I was getting that calling. I'm like, man, all of my clients are just applying what I'm telling them on how to prospect shippers, how to broker trucks, how to build a carrier base, all of that. They're getting success. I'm like, why don't I just jump in and do it for me? And then I had a partnership with SPI Logistics as they've been my longest advertiser on my show. And I went to them because, historically, not a lot of agencies like to have people come in that don't have a book of business at all. And I
Sure.
sat them down. I'm like, hey, this is what I want to do. I'm like, I got no customers. I got no guarantee that we're going to even move a load. I don't know what's going to happen, but this is what I want to do. And they didn't even let me finish. They're like, yes, absolutely. They're like, you know how awesome that story's going to be? And I'm like, all right. So we started cold. It's easier to say January 1st of 2023 is when we started. And we, again, zero customers, zero revenue, zero nothing. And we brute force built it up to what it is today. And, it's not been easy at all, as anybody knows. Yeah, the headlines that the freight market's brutal is very accurate. But there are people out there who are looking for new providers if you're willing to put in the work to find them.
That's right. Yeah, God really does work in mysterious ways, doesn't he? I was
Amen.
thinking about this the other day. It's funny you bring that up about the COVID piece because I wasn't even in freight during COVID. I had lost my job. I was living in Las Vegas, moved out to Nashville to open a branch of a SEO company. So I was a director for this company, move out to Nashville. I buy my first house. A piece of this was my first night there. I'm moving furniture all day long. I'm on the second floor. I fall asleep. Like 3 in the morning, I hear tornado sirens going off. I'm a Wisconsin boy. So usually in Wisconsin, we got, this, Chris, those things go off and nothing happens.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm thinking is going on. And I wake up in the morning to all these texts that are like, hey, are you okay? Are you okay? My parents are calling me. I'm like, what's going on? Yeah, I'm fine. Like there's a massive tornado that just went through Nashville. I'm like, oh shit. So I go outside, and you want to talk about God working in mysterious ways. Like 2 houses down, there's a like 3 or 4 houses are just completely ripped down.
Dang.
So lucky. So
Yeah.
lucky. So if that wasn't a sign, and I didn't know what it was a sign of, it was probably a sign of things to come, which was my entire life was about to get ripped down when I had lost my job because of COVID. The company that I was with, they were just overextended with expansion. They over leveraged. It shut down. So within 2 months, the company had closed. Now I'm out of a job and I've got a house, and didn't know how to pay for the mortgage. And I fell ass backwards into driver recruiting of all things.
Okay.
Within a couple of years, I found my way onto the agent side, and call it luck, call it God working in mysterious ways. But here I am talking with you, one of the big dogs in the industry. And it's cool how it all comes full circle like that.
No, I agree, man. And that's the thing is no matter what, Levi, you just got to start, right? Like I think there is, I focus on the fundamentals in all of the content that I create because, again, it's not for everybody. Some people think they're way more important than they really are. They think that there's some high level sorcery that you have to put out there to get. You don't, man. You got to focus on the fundamentals. That's just what has worked for me in building my businesses up, right? This isn't just a freight thing. This was on the media side too, man. I just had to start. And then you formulate your voice as you go. And a lot of people want to act bigger than they are. They want to, they can want a posture really because like they want to
Yeah,
sound very important online. And, I got some very large companies that we move freight for. They don't give a shit about 99% of the stuff you see on social media. They care about their truck showing up on time and delivering on time. And if
that's
something's
right.
going on, are you communicating it? So it's like just somebody who's doing the actual work that they're talking about. That's why I focus on that. I think there's a time and a place for focusing on import levels and the economic, fallout from certain political, but that doesn't affect my ability to pick up a truck and pick up on time and deliver on time. And I think a lot of people want to overcomplicate what we're actually doing because they don't actually know what they're doing. Like what we're doing fundamentally is very simple. Pick up at point A, deliver to point B.
That's
That's it.
right.
Why overcomplicate it? And from a content perspective, that's why I stay there, man, because like that's the direct feedback I get from my customers. And if my customers feel that way, there's probably a large group of customers that feel that way. They just want honesty. And if you're going to go in there and prospect somebody, just be honest about what you're there for. I don't believe in the song and dance of the approach that some people bring from a business development perspective.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. And, kind of even going back with my story a little bit, when I started this podcast, my fear with all of this was I'm not a coach in anything. I'm not a freight coach. I'm not a coach in anything. I'm not a coach in nothing. So my fear was, and thank God I developed some good friendships in this industry. Zach Davis being one of them told me, Levi, you might not be an expert in any of this, but you're going to be talking with experts. You'll become a broker of knowledge over time. And that's what people want, that you don't have to be the expert. He told me another really, really solid quote that stuck with me was, people want to do 2 things. They want to tell you when they're wrong and they want to teach. And I'm so willing to hop on here, be told, hey, you're wrong about this, and learn something at the same time. And Chris, I think you do a really, really good job with that. And it's one of the reasons that I listen to your show. And it's probably a reason a lot of people listen to your show is all you're doing is providing knowledge.
Mhm.
You're not posturing. You're providing knowledge, and you're a really good point of that.
I mean, I appreciate that, man, but that is the literal intent behind the show, right? Like, how do we just add industry insight and value to people? Because as somebody who's bootstrapped everything, right? Like, I've never had investors. I've never had anything other than my work ethic to build something up. And not everybody can shut their business down to go to a conference, or not everybody can sign
Right.
up for, information behind a paywall that's out there. And then do you even know if the information's valid or not? Where it's like, I look at it as a social media podcasting is such a powerful tool because we can bring so much information out there to the masses. And the way that I see it is if somebody else takes what we say on my show and they apply it to their business and they grow and they have success, how is that going to affect me in a negative way? That's not at all, right? So it's like I want to put so much information out there that just like moves the industry forward in the right direction. And that's what I want my entire identity in this industry to be wrapped up in is hey, he just wanted to help people. And that's it. Like, anything else that happens after that, Levi, it's out of my control. I know that I can control the information I put out, what angle I wanna take with my content, what angle I wanna take with my business, but I've just found that when you chase something, it can run really fast, and I just wanna stay true to myself because, like, I'm just too old to play any of that stuff, man. Like,
Yeah.
I just want to focus on how do I build the best company I can and help as many people as I can along the way, and whatever happens after that, man, that's gonna happen.
We're in an industry where it's a large industry, but it seems like we're a small, tight knit community, right? Have you ever ran into like any negative blowback for things you're saying on the show? And has it had an effect on you, or like you just kind of mentioned, you just kind of let it roll off your back?
At this point, I let it roll off my back, and yes, man, anytime you have an opinion about anything, there's gonna be people out there who disagree with you. It used to bother me, right? But, like, at this point, man, this is just my opinion, and I focus on I had a mentor, say this. I'm in an entrepreneur group, and he this is as simple as it is. He said, "50% of the people already don't like you, so focus on the 50% that do." So it's like if you're gonna
I
go
like
out there and
that.
put an opinion out there about anything, that's gonna be a part of it, but it's like, who cares? Right? Like, honestly, like, yeah, it's gonna affect you, but, like, I'm concerned about, like, such a small group of people overall, like, I want my wife and my if as long as my wife and my kids love me, I can deal with anything else that comes about, right? Like,
That's all that
that's
matters.
part of the that's just part of the territory of when you sign up to do anything that's outside of the norm, the
Right.
normal molds that a lot of people go after in life.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. 100%. Well, I'm curious too, Chris, with operating your show and growing your freight agency simultaneously, how do you balance all of that? Like, are there ways of customer acquisition that you're utilizing within the show, or is it all happening completely off screen?
It's a combination of both, right? Like, I think the hardest part about whether you're building an agency or building a business, the hardest part, the biggest hurdle is going to be systems development and time management because it's you go out on your own and you're I'm going to use air quotes busy right away. You're the busiest you've ever been. That's a period of you figuring it out. And what happens is eventually it's a big trial and error, man. What works, what doesn't. And like I'm going to speak specifically to freight here. When you're building a book of business from scratch, because I've done it like 3 times. It's not fun. If you got an existing book of business and you can transfer, like, good, take care of those customers. But if you're a glutton for punishment like me and you just love starting shit from scratch and not
Yeah.
having any revenue, um, you got to develop a system that you can follow to try and move the needle forward every single day. And the hardest part about that is you don't actually know if it's working. And you might get a little success, you might get a couple of people to respond, but you don't actually know if it's working. So it's like for me, my main focus when I'm not doing my podcast, I'm working on developing business and servicing my accounts that are right now. But again, I have a business partner in my brokerage and he handles operations. So like his primary role is quoting customers, booking
Yep.
freight, schedule, all of that stuff. That's his primary role now. My primary role is business development. So when I'm out there, and I'm not a spray and pray kind of guy, like my book of business, like we're 99% flatbed. And of that, man, like 80% of it is full truckload. And that's just where we sit. And I've just found that when you're trying to train people to do anything, the more of the same conversation you can have, the better results you're going to get. Like, so when I'm out there, I might only contact 30 to 40 people in a day, but they are highly targeted. They are 100% in my ideal customer profile. And that's just where I sit because I can speak a different language than your general run of the mill broker who's just calling people for the sake of calling them. I
That's
know
right.
more about their product as much, if not more than they do, because that's all I do. And I want to be that subject matter expert because that's just a system that I found that has worked repeatedly. And in today's environment, man, like broker and freight's not the way it used to be, man. It's very different. It is very data driven. You got to know your shit now, or people are not going to respond to you.
So you're saying, as far as just giving somebody a call out of the blue, giving a shipper a call out of the blue, if you don't know who they are, what they do, how much freight they're moving, or be an expert in that niche, you're probably wasting your time.
I would say that, yes. I would say you are definitely wasting your time. It might not be for everybody, but for the customers you want to attract, you're not even gonna get there. They're gonna hang up on you, right? And again, I even get hung up on with this approach that I do now because, again, that's a whole different conversation about timing in contacting prospects. But I look at it like this, Levi. If you're gonna catch somebody, because a cold call is an inconvenience no matter how you want to put it. I don't know of
That's right.
anybody who loves when door-to-door salesmen show up to their house. So what do you think people are?
Yeah,
So
good
again, it's
point.
like, but if you're gonna have a conversation with somebody, respect their time. Like, as a business owner, all I have is my time. And if you waste my time, you are taking food off of my family's plate. And like, I
Mm.
get offended by that stuff. And if I get offended by that stuff, I can only imagine the people that I'm prospecting, how they feel. And I just want to be very matter of fact when I'm calling people. I'm very direct. If like gatekeepers, if they're like, is this a sales? Are you trying to get set up? Yes, 100%. This is what we're trying to do. This is why we're calling you. Like, I don't beat around the bush, man. I am very direct and to the point. And I've just found that, you know what? It will at least get you to the next step in the sales process by being honest with people. I don't know why. So it's like, that's just the process that I follow.
I love it. And could you speak a little bit more, CJ? You mentioned systems earlier. We have a lot of listeners that are on the younger side, especially ones that want to become a Chris Jolly. They want to break into the industry. They want to develop a pipeline. They want to have a solid book of business. Speaking to the systems that you've created that's helped you develop this customer base you have, is there a starting point that you would offer to a younger person looking to break in?
Repetitions. Like, you gotta just get comfortable making calls. Like, it's uncomfortable. I'm not the type of guy who's gonna sit up here and lie and be like, "Oh, it's not that." It sucks getting disrespected on the phone, all right? That's my ego talking, though. Like, my ego gets offended by it, but they're not thinking about you point 0.4 seconds after they hang up the phone. So it's like, for me, just don't let it bother you. But like, it's all about reps, and the only way to get better at anything is you got to suck for a while. And guess
Yeah,
what?
that's
You're gonna
right.
do this for a while, and you're still gonna suck at. And you're
That's
like, dude,
right.
I lose my train of thought on my calls. It's called being a human being, right? Like, it's gonna be part of it. And I think that most people, though, Levi, they can't get past that first wall of adversity. Like, it hits
Yes.
them and then they quit. They're like, "Ah,
Yes.
it's not worth it." Or they hear from one shipper that, "We're good right now. We're not adding anybody." And then they make up this big story and, "Oh, nobody's adding anybody. I shouldn't even be doing this." And then they quit. Um, I've developed customers in good markets, bad markets. It doesn't, like, the market's irrelevant. And I like, yes, it's relevant. And I get, actually, if there's one thing that I get shit for more than that is when I say the market's irrelevant. Because in my opinion, it is. I can't pay attention to whether it's a good market, bad market, up market, down. I got to find business, right?
That's right. That's
So
right.
I just look at it is now, if you're going to go after any new business at all, you got to put in the reps. And if you're going to do that, choose one thing, right? Like, nobody needs to go out there and be like, "Oh, I need to do dry van reefer, flatbed, LTL. I need to do it." No, you don't, because you don't know how to do everything.
That's
Get some
right.
experience doing one thing for a while and then graduate in. All right. Graduate into another mode. There is so much freight that's out there. Like, you don't need to do everything. And again, to each their own. I know there's people out there who take the opposite approach to me, and that's fine. That's their prerogative. But for where my business is right now, I only need to call open deck shippers. I don't need to call anybody else.
Yeah, I love what you said though, and here's my take on just just start. If you want to do anything in life, it doesn't even have to be freight specific, but you just got to go. You got to start, take a risk. Don't let anybody tell you you can't do it. And in freight specifically, there is no one way to skin the proverbial cat. You can do it in a multitude of ways. Have you had people that have trained under you, Chris, that you gave them advice and they just spun it and made it their own, and then they went on to be huge successes themselves?
Yeah, like I've worked with a lot of killers, man. Like I've worked with a lot of really talented people over the years, and I think that's the best training that you can give anybody is give them a system, but let them personalize it. You
I
know,
love
like
that.
I
I love
want
that.
I say this, I will provide you a framework. It's your job to make it you. Because if I try and sell like Levi on the phone, I'm going to struggle. I got to be me. But there's a
Right.
framework that both Levi and Chris can follow, and we can find our own success in it. And I think that that is, again, if you're going to work in business development or sales, you have to have a high level of figure it out on your own when you're doing it because you have to develop your own style. Like, people can sift
Beautiful.
through any of that stuff, right? And again, like, everybody like, if you need to be told what to do, how to call, what to call, I don't know if business development is for you. I really don't, because there's 2 separate roles that we're describing. Account management is very different than business development, like, that true hunter. Our mutual friend, John Rogers, says I think he says it's the best post he put out there is I think you could fit the true hunters in freight in one room.
Yes. Yep. I remember that one. Yeah.
Because to me, dude, I get bored easy. I love the thrill of the unknown. I love the hunt. But once I've killed that animal, I want ops to run with it, man. Like I'm on to the next thing.
Yeah.
And I think that there's 2 very different roles. And there's a lot of people who say they're sales reps that were given a book of business through attrition at their previous employer. And then they went out on their own and they struggle with business development because it eventually it hits you. You're like, fuck, I've never actually developed business before. And then you got to start with the system, right? Not saying that you can't, but like I think it's a big thing, and I think that that's one thing that people in the agent world start to realize is they're like, oh shit, I'm just transferring a book of business I haven't never actually sold before, and then that's why their book of business never grows because they don't want to. They just manage that account, and again, hire a sales rep. If you're an account manager, there's nothing wrong with that, and
Right.
but like understand there's a fundamental difference between killing the animal and dressing it and cooking it and preparing it.
I knew before we started this thing, you were going to say something that was just going to leave me shell shocked and I'd have no response. That was one of those moments. And I love it. I was here for it. And you just kind of gave us like a brutal truth about agent lifestyle. I'd love to hear a couple more if you have them. I mean, the current freight market aside, what is a brutal truth that you have about being a freight agent?
Entrepreneurship isn't as cool as people try and make it out to be. Like
Boom.
it is like, and again, back to like the choice I decided to make and just like telling
Hmm.
my truth out there. I'll be the first one to admit it, man. Like this is the hardest fucking thing I've ever done in my life. And I'm technically operating inside of a system with SPI, right? Like I'm very fortunate. Like they have a phenomenal back office, phenomenal tech stack. I can just operate and it's great. But like again, man, it's on me. Like if I don't generate revenue, I run out of money. Like I can't just go out there and raise capital. Like I think that's
Yeah,
everybody's mentality is oh I'll just go find investors. Really? You will? You think those guys don't want to make their money back?
that's
And
right.
so it's like if you're going to go out there and do it on your own, it can be done. It's just not as what you think it is. Like you are like, you brought up balance earlier about like between my 2 companies. There is no balance, man. Like I'm on 24/7, 365 at this point in my business because again, I have a very short runway of capital to work with. And if that money runs out, I'm done. So it's like there's got to be a sense of urgency. Like I am like, dude, you gotta be quick. You gotta reply fast. You gotta be there. And if you're not, I will be. And like that's mentality is I know I'm not the only one who thinks that way. So it's like if you're gonna go out there and do it, all you can accomplish anything. It's just a level of intensity that most people have never experienced. And that's why they stay where they are because it's like They want that. They think that, oh, I can work 9 to 5. You can't work 9 to 5 if you're going to be a successful agent and you want to grow.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
might be able to, Levi, if you got your existing book and you're like, hey, my customers only work between these hours. This is as large as I want to be. I love that. And if you know that, you are very successful in your approach. But if you want to grow, if you want to take what you're currently doing and 10x or 20x it, you
Mhm.
be at a level of urgency that you've never even remotely thought of yet.
I think it was Alex Hermosi said something like, "The people that want a work-life balance don't excel at either."
Mhm.
And I love what you said about fuck balance. Go, go, go. As the freight coach, how do you deal with the pressure of handling all of that? Like you're grinding building a book, you're grinding operating your business as the freight coach. That's a lot. That's a lot
Mhm.
of pressure.
I I'm I don't have any other choice, man. Like, I made the deal with myself when I went into business for myself that, like, I'm gonna figure it out. And it's so much easier to soundbite it and say that perfect thing in the end. Like, I
Right.
fucking that's shit that keeps me up most nights, right? Like, there's a lot of pressure that comes along with this. And, I know that there's a saying out there like pressure is yeah, it is. Like, I'm going to be honest, but the more success you have, like, the more nervous I get. And it's not that I'm nervous that I'm more nervous because, like, I have an actual tangible asset now that could fucking go away. I
That's
know
right.
what it's like when nobody was answering. I know what it was like when nobody was listening to my content, when nobody was when nobody gave a fuck about what I was doing. I remember that. That's what drives me today because I don't want to go back there, man. I know what that feels like. So it's like the uncertainty, the uncomfort, it's never going to leave. Like, that's what you signed up for when you said, I'm going to do it on my own. That's part of it. And the sooner you can accept that, I'm not going to say it's going to get easier, but, like, it becomes a little bit more manageable for you. The pressure that comes along with it is like, this is what you literally signed up for.
Pressure is a privilege. I feel like we're quote machining on this episode, but wow, it's so true, man. Like, even thinking back to when this podcast started and I couldn't get an overseas rep to hop on here with me. And now here I am with the friggin' freight coach and this lineup of people, industry leaders. Like, these are people that are moving $1 million daily decisions. That pressure really starts to build, but you specifically have given me a lot of confidence, watching your content with overcoming that, and it just kinda speaks to what you're doing and what you're building. I just gotta say I love it.
No, I appreciate that, man. But it's like, dude, we all start somewhere with everything, And I think in today's day and age, so, like, I grew up pre-internet, right? Like, I grew up pre-social media, and I was, by the time social media became a thing, I was already in my 30s, right? So it was kind of like I was more comfortable in my own skin, a little bit, but, like, I know, and especially now, man, with the amount of media stuff that I've done and the amount of, like, 99% of what people see out there is all fake and it's all bullshit. Because, like, trust me, man, if you were that successful, you wouldn't be posting 37 times a day. Like, there's no way. There's no way that you could do that. And if I just look at it as if your course was that profitable, you would have a business. Because trust me, man, brokering freight, way more profitable, way higher upside long term than consulting people about how to broker freight. There's a shelf life with that, right? I can duplicate and replicate myself in a freight brokerage. I can train 100 sales reps to do what I do on a daily basis. I can't work with 100 companies in a day. I mean, maybe now with AI, but, like, that's beyond the
Right, right.
um I can't work with 100 companies at the exact same time as a consultant in the exact same hour of the day, but I can build a team around that. And that's where I like, but, and then like with from a freight perspective, that's just like, I don't know, man. I think that there's such a higher upside brokering than anything else. And I just love it, man. I love moving freight at the end of the day. And but again, it all just starts with starting. You just have to start.
Just start. Yeah. Chris, is that where you're taking this thing? Do you plan on continuing your show and the freight coach while simultaneously growing the book? Like, is it going to start skewing more towards moving freight, or is it just going to be continuing to grind at both until the wheels fall off?
I don't know. I can say this. I'll never stop podcasting. It love interviewing people.
Yeah. And you're good at it.
Will the show look different? And yeah, because it like I'm gonna sit here and say it's gonna look 100% different because it's looked 100% different pretty much every fucking year that I've done it, right? It keeps evolving. Am I going to be able to do everything today that I am in 5 years from now? I don't know. I wanna say yes, but maybe not. I don't know, man. They're like, I got like I got a short runway of time to
Yeah.
make a lot of things happen, and I do know that I will continue to podcast and interview people. It'll look a little bit different, I'm sure. I don't know if I'll be able to do it 5 days a week, but I'm not gonna stop because, like, I think the faster you can prove you're a real human in a digital world, the more upside that will come your way via your content or your business development.
I love that. Chris, as we get close to wrap, we're a little bit over right now, but I just enjoy the hell out of talking to you. But as we get closer to wrapping this up, let's get a couple questions here real quick.
Horror stories and pitfalls.
What do you got for us, brother?
Horror stories and pitfalls.
Yeah.
Uh,
Anything in your past that's it maybe was detrimental or almost derailed the entire business that other
oh,
people out there can kind of learn from.
yeah, man. I got stiffed out of like over $10,000 early on. And it was on the consulting side of things. And I didn't know if I was going to financially be able to make it. I mean, 10 grand is a lot of money. Like,
It's a lot of money.
I don't care how much money you're even making. When you're in startup world and you need every dollar
Mhm.
to operate with, and somebody stiffs you out of that, and then your attorney, you're having a conversation with your attorney, and they're like, "Chris, it's going to cost you more to fight it." They're like, "Let this be a lesson learned." So I took it as an expensive lesson. It's why I operate off of contracts now. It's not that I don't trust people, but, like, I gotta protect me, man, and
Yeah.
I want and it's like it's a detriment being from the Midwest, man. You trust everybody, like, you think
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
and I just let that lesson learned early on, and I just switched everything to a contract model. You gotta sign it, and that because like, at least then I have something to fight in court with if it unfortunately, that was the one time, but again, it's a lesson learned. I think everybody has to go through it, and that's why I say if you're gonna be an entrepreneur, even if you're gonna be an agent, the best 2 things you can align yourself with is a CPA and an attorney. You gotta protect yourself, man, because if you don't, nobody else will.
Align yourself with a CPA and attorney. And I think you said something really important to a lot of younger people in shoot, the Midwest, everybody, like you said. Um, we're very trusting, and young people are maybe not necessarily trust, maybe it's a little bit of naivety versus being trusting or a bit of both, but get things in writing. Get a contract in place. Hell, write it on a napkin if you have to, but get something in writing because you're absolutely right, CJ. You got to protect yourself, especially when you're trying to get something off the ground in freight or otherwise. If you want to start something and you're bootstrapping everything, you don't have the leeway to fail early in a
Mhm.
big way. And $10,000 could drown a lot of people.
Could put a lot of businesses under, right? That's another thing too, man, is I think, a lot of people would be shocked to realize how many companies are, within 30 days of being bankrupt every single month.
I don't want to know.
Yeah, I know. It's not fun.
Talk about being naive. All right, let's wrap it up with this, Chris.
Freight agent insider tips for success.
Give us the best freight coach advice
I
you could
think
lay on us.
yeah, I think if you're gonna become a freight agent, um, it's going to evolve what you wanna do, right? Like, I think a lot of people go out and they're like, "Oh, I'm gonna make $100 million a year," whatever, right? Arbitrary example. I think you need to be open to the fact that your goals can change and will change, and that's okay. I look at it as though it takes a lot more work than you think. Uh, everything sounds great right away, and when you're getting a salary, being out on your own sounds phenomenal. Uh, but when you get out there, it's not gonna be as cracked up as you can be. It's very rewarding, and it can be very rewarding. It just takes a lot more work than you want it to, but you're not the only one who goes through that. And I think that when you understand what you're getting yourself into, becoming a freight agent, becoming a 1099 is the greatest decision you can make in your business and for yourself. But also understand it's gonna be a lot harder than you think, but you're not the only one going through it.
Yeah, I asked Will Hopkins on the last episode if he could go back in time. And I mean, that guy's built like a $50 million brokerage. Black Box is huge. And I asked him, like, if you could go back in time, would you do the same thing? And he said, knowing what I put into like the time it took, the energy that he had to put in to build it, he said, if I could go back in time, I probably would have just been an agent and I just would have sold because it was so much. And that's one last question I'll ask you, CJ, is do you believe that if you're going to do this, like if you're a 35-year-old man, woman, you've got kids at home, do you believe, or older, or, you know, that situation, do you believe this is something that you can do? Or do you believe this is something like maybe somebody who's 21, 22, they don't have kids, they have a little bit more free time, they can afford to make mistakes. This is geared towards people like that, or it's open for anybody.
I think it's open for anybody. I think you need to understand what you're getting yourself into. And if you are older in life, like myself, you better have a supportive spouse. Like, your spouse needs to fully back you up on this, and I mean, I tell them, I'm not just saying this but, like, 90% of the reason why I found success is because my wife undoubtedly supports me in everything that I do. There's never been
Incredible.
a moment where she's like, "Are you sure?" Like, "Why are you do" there's never been, it's just always been, "Do it, go." And I think that it's very much an opportunity for people of all ages, but again, it's gonna boil back down to understanding what you're getting yourself into. But, like, again, if you like, there's always gonna be jobs, man. If you have a work ethic, that is the only thing I say I can't teach somebody, because you either have one or you don't, and if you have one, you'll never go hungry.
Beautiful. Chris, we got one last listener question. It's a doozy. You ready for it? Is your last name really Jolly?
Yes, it is.
And there's a follow-up to that question. Prove it by telling us your favorite holiday.
It's not Christmas, I can tell you that. I've heard it all, man. It's so funny. It's like, if you meet me in person, I am very sarcastic. So if you say something about my last name and ask if I've ever been told it before or asked it before, I will 100% mess with you and act like I have never been told that in my life.
That was a good one. That's pretty funny. Chris, I could talk to you all day, and I really appreciate you stopping by. I know you're busy. I'm not going to keep you any longer, but I know the listeners appreciate extending this one out a little bit. Thanks so much for joining. Guys, everybody will be back 9 a.m. Central Time next week. Chris, it was awesome.
Appreciate it.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you for watching the Freight Agent Insider Podcast. Like us and subscribe on YouTube, Spotify, TikTok, and LinkedIn